Google the best condo buildings in Kelowna, and you'll see the same handful of names repeated over and over. Nice units, great views, fancy amenities, but there's one important detail that those lists usually leave out. Are people actually buying there? So instead of ranking buildings based on opinions, I pulled every Kelowna condo sale from the last 13 months, and I sorted the buildings by one simple number. How many units actually sold? And the building at number one, it wasn't the most expensive, it wasn't the newest, or it wasn't the tallest. In fact, one of the buildings that I get called on the most, it didn't even make the list. Now, some people assume that the best condo building must have the newest finishes, the most impressive amenities, or the best prices. And honestly, that's how most best of lists are created. Someone tours a few buildings, they pick their favorites, and publish the rankings. The thing that these rankings don't tell you is that what condo buildings buyers actually choose. Building sales activity does. When units keep selling in the same building month after month, buyers are sending a very clear signal. They're saying that of all the condo buildings I looked at, I trusted this building enough to put my money into it. Now, that doesn't automatically make it a perfect building for you, but it tells us where the actual demand is. I'm Mark. As you probably know, I specialize in condos and townhomes. So I'm constantly tracking what's selling, where it's selling, and how quickly buyers are moving. I've toured countless condo buildings. And of course, I have my favorites, and I have the ones that I absolutely wouldn't buy in. But this isn't based on which buildings I personally like best. It's based on the buildings that buyers actually like best. We're counting down the 7 Kelowna condo buildings with the most sales over the past 13 months. And by the time we reach number 1, you'll see why the most popular building isn't always the most expensive. Let's start with the priciest building on the list. Number 7, we have Movala in Lower Mission. Movala recorded 17 sales over the past 13 months with an average sale price of just over 1.2 million. Now, the Movala numbers might be a little bit skewed though, because the developer still has new units that they're selling, and a lot of those sales won't be recorded in the MLS. If I had those numbers, Movala maybe would have taken the top spot. Who knows? Movala had the highest average price on this entire list, and it wasn't even close. Homes here took a little over 2.5 months to sell on average, making Movala the slowest moving building in the top 7, which makes sense because at this price point, there just aren't as many buyers. The surprising part is that Movala's actual price per square foot was $967, with a lot of the larger view units selling over $1,100 a square foot. Movala is a newer 2-tower condo project right beside Gyro Beach. The amenities here are stunning. The patios are huge, and a lot of the lake views are breathtaking. This is the newest concrete tower in Pandozzi, and unlike Caban and Aqua, it doesn't allow short-term rentals. The average selling price here, and the fact that the 2 penthouses sold at 3.5 and 3.9 million, they prove that there is a luxury condo market in Kelowna. Now, our next building is in the exact same neighborhood, and it costs nearly $900,000 less on average. I've also done a complete Movala building review, so check that out after this video if you want a deeper breakdown. So at number 6 is Hawthorn Park, also in Lower Mission. It recorded 18 sales with an average price of just over $318,000. Now, just think about that contrast. Movala and Hawthorn Park are located a few blocks from each other, yet there's close to $1 million difference between the average sale prices. So let's look at why that is. Hawthorn Park is a 55 plus building that was built in the late 80s and early 90s. There are 3 buildings, and they surround the Hawthorn retirement community. The location, the price points, and the size, they make this a great retirement option. You are 1 block from the Mission Park Shopping Center, Save on Foods, and anything else that you might need. Our next building is the only vacation rental building to make the list. At number 5, we're heading to the University District for Pinnacle Pointe. Pinnacle Pointe recorded 19 sales with an average price of just over $421,000. Units took a little over 2.5 months to sell on average. Now, this building is zoned for short-term rentals, and it's one of the only buildings that you're guaranteed to rent it out to a student over the winter because it's right beside the UBCO campus. The most interesting stat here, though, is that the prior year, there were only 8 sales. Now, this is because the NDP government short-term rental ban. Pinnacle Pointe is a 2-building complex that has a pool and a hot tub in between the 2 buildings. Most of the units here are going to be 2 or 3 bedrooms. With that third bedroom, it's just really a large den, but it has a sprinkler and no window. A lot of the condos here, though, they have nice valley views that overlook the golf course. This building is where vacation rental buyers want to buy a property that's not necessarily on the water. It's at a good price point, and they can easily rent it over the winter. So number 4, it takes us back to a neighborhood that dominated the list. Number 4 is Mission Meadows, bringing us back to Lower Mission for the third time. Mission Meadows recorded 20 sales with an average price of approximately $460,000. We now have 3 Lower Mission buildings in the top 7. Movala at more than $1.2 million, Mission Meadows around $460,000, and Hawthorn Park at just over $318,000. Similar neighborhood, 3 very different price points, 3 very different types of buyers. Mission Meadows is 2 blocks from Rotary Beach, and it's a 20-minute walk from Pandosy. It features 4 buildings with a total of 276 units. There is a central building with a pretty nice gym, but the real draw here is going to be so close to Pandosy and the beach. If you're looking for a Lower Mission condo, these 3 examples show you that there's pretty much a building for every budget and every buyer. Now that we're leaving Lower Mission, the sales numbers take a noticeable jump. Quick side note, at this point, you may already have 2 or 3 buildings on your short list, but comparing condos isn't only about the purchase price. Remember, you also need to look at the strata documents for upcoming expenses and pet restrictions. The best time to start interviewing realtors is before you book your first showing. If you'd like to have a conversation to see if we would be a good fit to work together, you'll find my contact info in the link below. And if you're not quite ready to talk to somebody yet, you should download my free BC Condo Buyers Checklist. It covers the key documents, the costs, the red flags that you want to understand before making an offer. That will also be in the description. So now let's get into the top 3, starting with a building in a neighborhood that buyers often overlook. At number 3, we have the Verve in Glenmore. The Verve recorded 25 sales with an average price just under $400,000. Units here, they took a little over 2 months to sell on average. Now, that's the 3rd highest sales count in the entire city, coming from a neighborhood that receives far less attention than downtown or Lower Mission. And that may be part of the opportunity. The Verve is a 7-building complex that was built from 2003 to 2008, and it's just off Yates Road. The buildings, they're all clustered around a huge pool and a beach volleyball court. With 441 units, this is a pretty big complex. All units here feature underground parking, and most of the units are going to be either 1 or 2 bedrooms. There are a few 3-bedroom units. The Verve numbers show that buyers aren't only chasing the neighborhoods that are close to the water. They're choosing buildings that offer the right combination of price, location, and lifestyle. Saying that, we're going back to the water for the final 2 buildings. Both are in Kelowna North. Both recorded close to 30 sales. And despite being located near each other, their average price points are separated by more than $300,000. At number 2, we have one of the most recognizable developments in Kelowna, One Water Street. You've probably seen its twin towers rising above the downtown waterfront. And over the past 13 months, One Water recorded 29 sales with an average price of close to $836,000. Even more impressive, those homes sold in under 2 months on average. Now, that gives One Water a rare combination: high prices, high sales, and fast turnover. Luxury properties, they often take longer to sell because the buyer pool becomes smaller as the price rises. One Water, though, it appears to be overcoming that challenge better than almost every other building on this list. That suggests buyers aren't simply interested in the building. There are enough qualified buyers who are confident enough to actually complete a purchase in this building. I've also done a complete building review covering One Water Street, including the amenities, the strata fees, and the important details that you won't find in any listing write-up. I'll also put that in the description below. But despite all of that momentum and popularity, One Water Street was still outsold by 1 building, and it happened at a dramatically lower price point. The condo building with the most sales in Kelowna over the past 13 months was Waterscapes. Waterscapes recorded 30 sales, more than any other condo building in the city. The average price was just under $500,000, and the units took approximately 2 months to sell. So the buildings with the most sales wasn't the newest luxury tower, it wasn't the building with the highest prices, it was a development sitting near the middle of the price range represented on this list. And that may be exactly why it performed so well. A price point under $500,000 can open the door to a much wider range of buyers than an average price of over $800,000. Waterscapes is actually 5 buildings. There are 4 low-rise buildings and 1 concrete high-rise. This is a large strata that has a lot of different buying options. It's also a full amenity building located right downtown on Sunset Drive. I just did a review on Sky Tower at Waterscapes. It covers the general strata and the things that you need to know, who it's for and who it's not for. I'll also leave it in the description. Now, the 30 sales, they didn't just come from affordability though. Buyers still need to feel confident in the location, the building, and the value that they're receiving. Waterscapes appears to be hitting that balance more consistently than any other building in Kelowna. What do these 7 buildings tell us? First, sales volume doesn't automatically follow price. The most expensive building on the list finished 7th, while the building averaging under $500K took the top spot. Second, popularity doesn't belong to one neighborhood. Kelowna North, it claimed the 2 top positions, but Lower Mission placed 3 completely different buildings in the top 7. And finally, there is no single best condo for every buyer. The best condo building for you is going to depend on your budget, your lifestyle, timeline, and the neighborhood that you want to live in. But actual sales give us something far more useful than a list of just great amenities. They show us where buyers are repeatedly deciding to buy. So before choosing a building because it looks impressive online, look at what other buyers are doing. A popular building today will probably still be a popular building tomorrow. And if you're trying to determine which condo building makes sense for your budget and lifestyle, let's chat. You'll find my contact info, including a link to my calendar, in the description below. And before we go, if you found value in this video, give it a like. It helps YouTube know that this video is worth showing to more people who are looking for condo info. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.